I just got off an amazing call with some amazing love over fear participants, and we were having an extraordinary conversation around what we want. And I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about fatherhood now that I'm a new father, as well as how much it matters what you want. And so, being a new father, this is something I've wanted my whole life. This is not my whole life. Obviously, I didn't want to be a dad when I was 4 years old, but I have wanted to be a dad for a really, really, really long time. And it's always mattered to me to become a parent. I think a big part of that is because my dad wasn't in my life growing up. And so sometimes we can be motivated by an example of what we want, and sometimes we can be motivated by the opposite of what we want and wanting to fill in the blanks that we're missing in our own life. And so I was just on a group call with some love affair participants, and we were basically creating their game. In coaching with me, we create a game. A game is essentially what you want to accomplish and how you want to feel. And so we were creating the measurables for that, and what are the key steps to actually have that. And what I was sharing with them that I want to share with you now is how important what you want is. It really matters what you want. You know, I've always wanted to be a dad. And if I didn't really care about that, I could see how easily my relationship with my wife would not have worked out. You know, it's not like I found my wife and it was sunshine and rainbows the whole relationship. We've gone through so much together. And if we did not overcome the challenges that we've had together, me being a father, her being a mother might not even be in the cards. And I think it's because of, you know, this work that I do, this work that I've received from other people and amazing coaches, that's allowed me to see a new way to get through some of the biggest challenges that I've had in my own relationship. And that's why I do this work. That's why I talk to you right now, is to help people get through the challenges in their relationship that they aren't sure how to get through, that they feel stuck with. And so I look at like how easily my son could not have existed, how easily the relationship I'm in, this career that I have, could not have happened. It's so easy to miss because of our limiting beliefs, because of our fears, because of us living in our head and contemplating all the right possible steps and trying to do it perfectly, and thus paralyzing ourselves from action. And so I just look at, you know, I was changing my son's diaper this morning, which I think I'm getting pretty good at after many, many tries. I'm present to just seeing him sitting there, just so beautiful and so perfect the way he is. And all he does is poop and fart and sleep and eat. And to me, he's like perfection. He so easily could not have existed had my wife and I not gotten through some of our biggest challenges, had we not caused connection when all we want to do is disconnect or run or lean into our typical default behaviors of anxiety or avoidance. You know, and you think about the relationships you're in, how easily they can be fragmented, how easily our dreams cannot happen. And so this is why I do this work, and this is why I encourage you, you know, whatever the thing is that you want, whatever really matters to you, hold on to it. Like, it's just so important to like put attention to it. Yes, and acknowledge you're scared, acknowledge that you've no idea how it's going to happen. If you want anything brand new, you're not supposed to know how it's going to happen. That's one of the freest things to think, to let in. Anything you want that's brand new, that's never happened to you, you're not supposed to know the path for that. You've got no template because it's brand new, and it's supposed to be that way. What a beautiful thing to be able to accept, because now you're off the hook from having to figure it all out. Now you're entering a new state of, can I discover the path? Can I be open to the discovery of the path? I had no idea that my life would be the way it is now with my son and my wife without discovering so many things along the way. There's so many things that have happened that I could not have predicted. And so if we can leave some room for discovery while simultaneously connecting ourselves deeper to what we want, I think we have a really beautiful opportunity there. And so I encourage you, whatever it is that you want, that you have no idea how to experience, It's okay. Give yourself that permission to not know the how. Let yourself focus on it. Let yourself feel it. And I absolutely encourage you to reach out for support. I encourage you to sign up for coaching. I encourage you to learn more about coaching and other ways that you can support yourself. When I see people like go on stage or accept an award or do something and they're like, I did it all myself, bullshit. Nobody does anything themselves. We all have support. We all have mentors. We all have people on our team that help us become the ways that we want to be and reach our potential in all new kinds of areas of life. Having a team is one of the best things you can do. So absolutely advocating for you to reach out for support. I have a community page that you can join right now, brand new, as well as you can find out if coaching the fit by doing a discovery call, which you can find out all this information on my link in my bio. But now, after my little rant there, I want to do some Q&A. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask, I'll stay on here for about 5 minutes and answer some questions. Let me just have a look here at the chat. You can write a question there and I can scroll. Who's got a question about love, relationships, parenthood? What are you dealing with right now? Sarah said, it's so nice to hear that your work and your wife's work together has made your relationship stronger. Oh my gosh, not just stronger, but possible. Incredible. Yeah, without it, my goodness. Scrolling. Yeah, so just anybody has any questions, happy to answer. What's the best way to rebuild trust after betrayal? That's a doozy. You know, if someone has betrayed your trust, that can be extremely difficult to reconnect. It's going to take a couple things. It's going to take one, that the other person is willing to rebuild that trust. They recognize and acknowledge the impact of their betrayal, whatever they did that was against what you were trusting them for. And two, it's going to take forgiveness and courage from your side, because the act of trust is inherently a risk. There's a lot of people out there trying to trust without taking a risk. If there was no risk, it wouldn't be trust. That's what makes it scary. That's what makes it betrayal. And so I would encourage some conversations with this person, you know, to share the impact on you. Really share what it was like for you without blame. There's an art to that. Sharing what this was like for you without blaming them. There really is an art to that. So that's the first piece. And then your work would be here to see if you're open to forgiving them and creating a new boundary. Forgiveness does not condone a behavior. It's one of the great permissions we can give ourselves in life. Forgiveness does not condone a behavior. I can forgive you for betraying me, and it doesn't mean that I accept the betrayal. It means I'm no longer going to blame you or let this hold weight over me. Okay? And then I can create the effective new boundaries that are a match for that afterwards. But that'd be the first key step. So that'd be my invitation for you there. Next question. How to detach from someone. Why I don't like the word detached. Do you mean be unattached? Or do you mean maybe you're going through a breakup and you're finding yourself attached to them? Maybe elaborate on that question. Did you know your wife was the person that wanted to work on things when you first met, or you develop over time? We develop over time. I've been into personal development for a very long time. I picked up Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus when I was like 14 years old. But I did my first like proper professional development course maybe 11 years ago. So I was always into it. My wife wasn't even nearly as into it as I am. And to be honest, most people aren't. And I remember going on a date with her, like maybe in the first few months. And I told her, I was like, I'm worried that I'm more into personal development than you are. And then that's going to affect our relationship negatively in the long run. And she had such a beautiful answer that took me off guard, because I was kind of coming from this place of like, I know better. I'm more developed. It's one of the very dangers of personal development that people get into, is they start to act as if they're above other people or they know more, which I was acting that way with her on this date. Not aware of it at all until afterwards. But I said to her, I'm a little bit worried that you're going to almost like fall behind. Like I'm going to do all these courses and develop myself, and that you won't be interested in that, and it's going to have our relationship suffer. And she goes, Okay. Well, problem with that is you're operating under the idea that you think you're more personally developed than I am. And I was like, shit, that's true. I am operating under that idea. And she also said, or that the way you're personally developing yourself is the only way to do it. And I was like, damn, okay, yeah, fair enough. Good point. And so, no, I think it's developed over time. And I think I want to encourage that with so many people is to develop their relationships. I think one of the things many of us are suffering from as we long for a long-term committed relationship, as we want one, but it feels elusive, is we're trying to find a match that's like perfect. We're trying to like just come together and it's like, rose and sunshine from there. Relationships are created, they're built. Like, I really believe that. Like, who my wife and I are today, we've been together almost 4.5 years now. We're totally different people from who we were 4 years ago, and how we are as a partner and how we interact with each other. Like, there's so much growth that only happens in the relationship. And I think that's what I want to encourage more people is like, there's work before the relationship and there's work in the relationship. It doesn't have to be hard work, by the way. It can be great work. It can be fun work. But it's like, it's part of developing it is in the process. So that would be my invitation there. How do you figure out what you want? Love this question. Very common challenge for people. I don't know what I want. Where do I go? Use contrast. In module 2 of my program, we talk about contrast. Contrast is look at what you don't want to help signal what you do want. We're very good at knowing what we don't want. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want someone who's clingy. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to be exhausted. Okay, what are the opposite of those things? Okay, I want to be energized. I want to be with someone who's secure. I want to feel more passionate. Okay, that's the best way you can be more clear about what you want, is to see what you don't want and then ask the opposite. I think that's really a great way to do it. Should you reach out for a person who's giving off mixed signals? To clarify, maybe. So like when I was dating my wife, when I was dating previous partners, and you're feeling mixed signals, I think one of the things we do is we blame the person for giving us mixed signals rather than looking at where we can impact that situation, which is asking for clarity or saying, hey, like you're doing this, but you're also doing this. I don't know what's going on. Can you tell me what you're interested in? Do you want a long-term relationship? Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think we're scared to have that conversation because we feel like we're going to push them away or lose them. If that pushes them away, that's good information. I remember dating a woman before I met my wife who was giving me mixed signals, and I was super confused. I was like, sometimes you seem super into me, then you're not into me, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I was scared to bring it up, but I was like, matter of fact about it. I was like, said exactly that. And she said to me, she was like, you don't seem like the person that I would fall in love with, which took huge courage on her part to say that. And I was so grateful that she did, because I was like, okay, great. I want to be with someone who wants to be with me. This is good information. So now, rather than us continually trying to hope for something that could maybe happen, now we can move forward in something else. And I told her that. And she said, so you're going to start dating other people? And she looked a little like worried. Like she liked the attention I was giving her. And I was like, yeah. And guess what? I met my wife like a few weeks later. Now imagine, had I put up with those mixed signals, not had the conversation, my wife would have walked past me. I wouldn't have even noticed her, because I was too busy in my own head with the thing I was currently dealing with. This is where it's so important to let ourselves be free, but we are the access to that freedom, not somebody else. My avoidant partner recently dumped me abruptly and said she doesn't see a future with me anymore. Do I give her space, or is it over? Absolutely. I mean, I'm such a strong advocate of don't be with someone who doesn't want to be with you. At the same time, there's like this sweet spot of not tolerating someone else's inauthenticity. And so what do I mean by that? For example, my wife and I, if she was being hard on herself or being hard on me in a way that makes no sense, like it wasn't warranted, it has nothing to do with anything, I'd call her on that. I'd say things like, this isn't who you are. This doesn't make any sense. This is not lining up. What's really going on? Tell me the truth. So when you say your partner dumped you abruptly, I'd have some questions about, first of all, is it actually abruptly, or has they been thinking about something like this for a while and they finally acted on it? But it sounds like there's some things unspoken. So it might be worth having a conversation if she's open to it, if your partner's open to it, but not to force it. Okay? I don't want to force anything. But if your fear is, I'm going to have a conversation, I want to see if she's open to it, and you're scared to have that, invite the conversation, but don't push the conversation, if that makes any sense. If the person still watches you post, what does that mean? I'm laughing because I know this is something we deal with in the world today, social media. And what does it mean if someone likes your stories, comments on your stories? I mean, I go way back to a woman I was dating years ago, and part of me starting to date her was I would comment on her posts because I thought she was cute and I wanted to kind of wedge the door open there of an opportunity with her. But if a former partner, you're in a breakup and they're watching your stuff, like personally, I just block them. Don't give yourself the temptation, like the brain power, the energy of wondering, what does this all mean, is so exhausting. It's torture, I would just block them and give yourself the freedom of having to not look at it. One of the best things we can do to be responsible for our well-being is what we participate in. So if someone keeps saying something or doing something to me that I don't like, I want to get a wall between me and them. I want to not participate. I don't want to give myself the temptation to be triggered. Okay, so that's my invitation there. I wouldn't even try to figure out what it means. If you've watched some of my stuff, you know that I don't believe at all in generalization. There's a lot of, honestly, pardon my French, shitty coaches out there that are telling you if this means they do this, it means that. I hope you don't believe any of them. I think that's absolutely atrocious thing to teach people, because you're teaching manipulation and you're teaching guesswork. You're teaching that you somehow are going to interpret people's actions. That is such a shitty way to be in relationships. That is not a thing you want to practice. You want to practice what you're scared of, which is the conversation. You want to practice courage. You want to practice communication. So that's me being triggered by that for a second. Jessa, so good to see you. What have these early days of fatherhood taught you that surprised you? I'm surprised how natural it feels. I thought I'd be more of I don't know, I thought I'd be more like trying to do it right. And I feel very relaxed about it. I feel very at peace with being a dad. And that surprised me. I thought I'd be constantly worried. I was very worried at the beginning. I'll maybe do another live about this, but our son was born at 35 weeks. So his lungs were underdeveloped and he was on a breathing tube for 4 days. I did not feel like there was no gratitude then. It was panic. I was very, very scared. And my wife and I were in the hospital that whole time. It wasn't until he got home and I started to see him grow and started to see him get, a healthier color that I was like, oh my God, yeah, now I'm a dad and I feel really just grateful and excited. Before it was just panic. But these early days, I'm also noticing how quickly it is to go to the next thing. It was I want to be a dad. Okay, now I'm a dad. Okay, I want my baby to talk. Okay. It's you can just see how that never ends. So I'm really practicing the gratitude for this moment, that he can't talk right now and he makes these cute little bird sounds, with his breathing. And he's literally growing every day. I was yesterday, oh my God, he's on steroids or something. That's pretty cool to see. But I'm just excited. And I'm really present to how much this work that I do means to me. I talked earlier in this live about how easily it could be for that I don't get to be a dad, or that I don't get to have a long-term committed relationship. It's so easy for that not to happen. I think many of the world in the West is suffering from that, especially right now. And I'm just present to my drive to get more of this content out to people, to create more opportunities for you to develop yourselves so that we can create the lives that seem impossible. or not available to us. It so matters. It's so important, and I'm just present to how important it is. So I got another call starting with some of the Love Over Fear coaches. So I'm going, yes, I'll post this, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining the live. I'm committed to doing at least one of these every week. If you haven't joined my community page, make sure you do. I'm also going to do I'm going to start doing a weekly men's group. It's going to be free to join. You just have to be part of the community page, which you can find in the link in my bio. But I'll talk about this later, but tragically, one of my basketball teammates from university killed himself a few weeks ago. And he was such an amazing man and such an incredible person. And trying to imagine what had him kill himself breaks my heart. And I think that there's a lot of men out there suffering alone in different things. And so I decided to create a men's group to honor him and to prevent great people not being here. I think it doesn't need to happen. So separate topic, but thank you guys so much for joining, and you're amazing. Your game matters. What you're up to matters. Whatever step that you're scared to take right now, make it smaller. Take that step. We just want to be moving momentum towards what we want. It's so important and necessary. So sending you love, you guys, and talk to you soon.